Prudence will come to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Creighton.
Here.
Hughes. Johnson. Hinojosa.
Present.
Huffman.
Present. All right. Members, we have a quorum. It's wonderful to see everyone here this morning. I anticipate we'll have other witnesses as well on the bail reform issues. As many of you know, the House is conducting a hearing at the same time. I'm assuming we're sharing some witnesses. So we want to make sure that we accommodate everyone who wants to testify. So we may be at a little different pace today. I'm going to watch over there to make sure that may send someone over to make sure there's any witnesses waiting if they want to come here, so that everyone who wants to testify on this bill certainly has an opportunity to do so. But we will start this morning with Senator West, who also has a bill on the call. Senator West, you are recognized on Senate Bill 9.
Madam Chair, thank you, and members, thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity. I'd like to first start out thanking Governor Abbott for adding this subject to the call, and also Lieutenant Governor Patrick for lending his support to and priority of this subject matter in Senate Bill 9. I've worked with both Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Patrick's office to craft the language of the bill. Let me just kind of give you the background. This bill was vetoed, Senate Bill 1109, which passed the Senate. All the senators voted for it, and 99 House members voted for it. And the reason that it was vetoed was because of an issue that the governor had concerning making certain parents had the option to allow their children to receive this particular content. And so we've addressed that issue working with the respective offices. You know, young love is supposed to be beautiful. Young love isn't supposed to hurt, and no, it isn't supposed to kill. But unfortunately, it does. If you remember, this bill passed the Senate and the House. It was bipartisan. And what the governor said, it failed to recognize the right of parents to opt their children out of the instructions. So Senate Bill 9 rectifies this concern by requiring that a parent be provided notice of the instruction, given the right to review the material and extend the right to remove the parent's student from the instruction if desired. As proposed, Senate Bill 9 amends the current law relating to requiring public schools to provide instruction and materials and adopt policies relating to the prevention of child abuse, family abuse, and dating violence. This proposed legislation is presented again in memory of Christine Blubaugh of Grand Prairie, Texas, who lost her life to dating violence at the age of 16. She would have celebrated her 37th birthday on April the 13th, 2021. I can go on and on, but I'm pretty certain that you've had an opportunity, you and your staff have had the opportunity to review it. We have with us today Deborah Blubaugh, Christine's mother, and also Ronnie Morris. Without his persistence, we wouldn't be here today. He prevailed upon my office to make certain we took a look at this particular issue and do something about it. And I ask you to be in the spirit of Christine Blubaugh, Ronnie Morris, and myself, and let's get something done about it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for your bill, Senator West, and bringing this to our attention, and I welcome the family here. Of course, does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask Senator West? Okay, as a resource witness, we have Shelley Ramos from TEA and Molly Voiles from the Texas Council on Family Violence. Anyone have any questions of the resource witnesses? All right, we'll open public testimony then, and Ms. Blubaugh, Deborah Blubaugh, if you would like to come up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing me to testify in support of Senate Bill 9, the Christine Blubaugh Act. My name is Deborah Blubaugh, and I am Christine Blubaugh's mother. I am here speaking on behalf of my daughter, her father, and her siblings. Christine was born along with her twin sister on April 13, 1983. This sweet girl had a special twinkle in her eye that was seen by everyone she met. She was strong, compassionate, tolerant, patient, and forgiving. Her life was full of happiness and joy, as well as hope for the future. Her best friend throughout her short life was her twin sister. Through her journey here on this earth, she was a Brownie, a Girl Scout. She played soccer, basketball, tennis, and enjoyed participating in community plays as well as playing the violin. In fact, prior to her death, we had ordered her third violin. She had a passion for life and loved her family and her friends. Her life was tragically taken away from her by the hands of another. She was viciously shot in the side of the head with a 12-gauge shotgun. The impact of the shots to the side of her head made it impossible to have an open casket. She was identified at the crime scene by a ring she wore with the initial CTR, which stands for Choose the Right. My daughter had been dating a young man which frequently included dinner with our family. They met at South Grand Prairie High School in Grand Prairie, Texas. He seemed shy, well-mannered, and enjoyed my daughter's company. Unbeknownst to me, she was being mistreated and threatened to be silent of those actions. Shortly before her death, she had broken up with him and seemed to be happy. The happiness was short-lived as to 1 week later, he took her life. Education is the key to fighting this tragic epidemic. Domestic violence and teenage dating violence being taught in our Texas schools would start a much-needed conversation, as well as make victims aware of who they can confidentially discuss these matters with. It is too late to save my daughter, but not too late to save others. And just so you know, my daughter was hoping for a bright future. She wanted to be a veterinarian. Thank you so much for your time, and I know you, Senator, that you totally understand where I'm coming from.
I do. Thank you so much for being here this morning and sharing your story. You know, when victims' families come here and tell us about what has happened and the unspeakable tragedies that they've endured, it makes a difference. It does. And I know every senator here feels for you and your family.
Thank you.
And thank you, Senator West, for listening to your constituent and bringing this bill to us.
One thing I would like to add,
Please do.
my understanding of the Texas Education Code, the 26th chapter, I believe, has about education in there to where the parents can opt out. So I had a question, not necessarily for you all this morning, as to why that wasn't enough.
We have a TEA person who's actually not beyond a resource, I see, who wants to testify, so we can ask him that question, or Senator
Thank you.
West perhaps could ask that.
I have a question, Madam
Senator
Chair.
Hinojosa?
Yes.
Yes, question.
You know, I'm very sorry about what happened to your daughter.
Thank you.
My condolences. I was called when young people in high school, growing up, there's the innocence of their life.
Yes.
They're learning, experiencing, growing up. But at the same time, it's good for them to have classes or at least education be taught certain signs of a violent person, how to try to move out of that relationship.
Yes, I agree.
And it happens, unfortunately, too often in our high schools and right after high school, where young people are starting a relationship with someone their age, in a young age, and the emotions that are involved, especially for young men, they also are can be very deadly, as in this case. So we really appreciate you being here present, sharing your story, so that others may benefit from your experience and your unfortunate situation, what happened to your daughter.
Thank you. I totally agree. I think education is the key here. I don't know why that it hasn't been discussed prior to. You know, if we're going to talk about bullying and transgender, and we're going to talk about when your body makes changes through life, why can't this be included?
I agree. We agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ronnie Morris?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chairwoman, thank you very much for having us here today, and Senators, thank you for the time. My name is Ronnie Morris. I'm an Assistant Chief of Police with the Grand Prairie Police Department. I'm here on behalf of the Grand Prairie Police Department and on behalf of myself as a father of two daughters in public school, and I'm testifying in support of Senate Bill 9, the Christine Bluebow Act. I've seen more than I care to remember the real-life consequences of teenage dating violence and domestic violence. I've seen the utter devastation that such a scourge has caused in the lives of victims. I've heard the screams of the family and friends as they learn of their loved one dying at the hands of someone that they trusted and loved. I've heard the unanswerable question, why, spoken from the lips of those left behind. And I've heard the question, how? How could I have prevented this? I relive these scenes in my mind all too often. During the quiet times of the day, when I go to bed at night, and when I look at my own daughters. But mostly, I remember the victims. Just children. What they looked like, what they were wearing, and the expressions on their faces, frozen in their final moments. The overwhelming feeling of helplessness, knowing something that their families would soon know, and doing everything I could to delay delivering that news. Tired of seeing this occurring over and over and over again, and feeling helpless to stop it. Christine Bluebow is one of those faces I see. As a law enforcement officer, it is our job and our solemn responsibility to the people we serve to do what we do, and I am honored to do it. But my responsibility is more than just responding to the aftermath of tragedy. I also have a responsibility to try everything I can to help prevent it from ever occurring. This bill, the Christine Bluebow Act, will help do just that. Now, harbor no illusions that this bill, when it becomes law, will end dating violence, domestic violence, and child abuse altogether. But it will give kids something that they've never had before, the life-saving skills and knowledge to recognize the signs of a dating violence relationship or domestic violence at home, and the resources to help them escape. There is no greater purpose that I or you have than to protect our kids. The Christine Bluebow Act will save lives of kids in Texas, and now is the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here, Officer Morrison. You know, Senator West, you and I have had so many discussions this past session, over the sessions, about police officers, and here we have just a shining example of the best of police officers. Would you agree with me?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You do. You should be proud. Your profession should be very, very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we will call up William West. William? No Ken? Thought you had your cousins coming today. No?
Good morning. My name is William West. I'm a
morning.
prevention coordinator with the Texas Council on Family Violence, for the statewide domestic violence coalition. I appreciate the time of this committee and of Chair Huffman and Vice Chair Hinojosa for being longtime champions of victims of dating and domestic violence. I'd like to register my support for SB 9, authored by Senator West, and also raise a point of consideration. SB 9 provides a pathway to implement policies long on the books designed to support education around dating violence in our schools. 31 teens were killed by an intimate partner in the past 5 years. We're here to honor them, as well as to stand with Deborah Bluebow, as this bill honors the memory of her daughter, Christine. It is a major and necessary step to inform young people about healthy relationships and the red flags of dating violence, domestic violence, and child abuse, and the supports that are available to them Thousands of young Texans experience dating violence, and half of those students say that some of that violence they experience at school. To hear adults in their school community share this information will save lives. As a prevention coordinator, I also know the power of community and believe strongly that it's crucial for parents to have an awareness of the issue and support to be able to have these conversations. As we work with systems across the state, we often speak about universal education. We know the power of everyone having access to this information as we strive to create safe spaces for disclosure and survivor support. It is common for young people to seek advice from their peers. And when information is provided in a space where they're all learning together, it creates safety and a common language that they can use. It also empowers them with knowledge and a voice to speak up for themselves and enables the school community to support them with appropriate resources. I fully recognize the importance of a parent's role, but also want to raise the question about what happens to those youth who are opted out of this education and resource sharing. We remain strong in our support for this bill and understand the need for discussions with parents. We know that we all share the same goal of supporting children and creating healthy Texas families. We raise these considerations as we also honor the deep impact this bill will have. Thank you for your consideration and your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you for being here, sir. Judge Malhotra? Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Huffman and Vice Chair Hinojosa and members. My name is Dimple Malhotra, and I'm the judge of County Court at Law 4, which is our domestic violence court here in Travis County. And I'm here to register my support for SB 9. I am so grateful that we have the opportunity to discuss this bill today. As I mentioned, I preside over our domestic violence court here. We see on average 3,000 to 4,000 cases filed in our court every year. And after the pandemic, we saw a huge increase in cases filed, in people requesting protective orders, people who had experienced sexual assault, stalking, and domestic violence. In April, in here in Austin, we saw a tragedy where 3 people were murdered. A woman was murdered by her ex-husband, her daughter was murdered, and her daughter's young boyfriend who should have been preparing to go to college this summer. In 2019, 185 people were murdered by their intimate partner just here in Texas. And the youngest person killed was a 15-year-old who was shot by her boyfriend. And that is just almost identical to what happened to Christine Blubaugh. And you saw today, you heard from her mom, you saw that she came from a family that loved her, people who worshiped her and cherished her. But what she didn't have was the knowledge to identify the red flags, to know the risks, to know what domestic violence and teen dating violence looks like. She didn't have that. And that's where we failed as a community. I have devoted 20 years of my career to the issue of domestic violence. I've been a prosecutor. I've worked at nonprofit shelters. I've sat on fatality review committees where we go over homicides that have occurred in our community and try to figure out what did we do wrong. And what we did wrong was we didn't prevent. We were always reacting. I've always been reacting to this issue, whether it's on the bench or as a prosecutor. It's time that we start preventing, and SB 9 is the way that we can do that. We need to stop addressing domestic violence in the courtroom and do it in the classroom. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for your input and your perspective. We appreciate you being here. Yeah. Is there anyone else who wants to testify on, for, or against Senate Bill 9? And then we have several people registering a position in support. Laura Atlas, actually, she's not in support. Yes, she's in support. Laura Atlas Kravitz from Texas State Teachers Association. Amy Turney representing herself. Matthew Lovett from the National Alliance of Mental Illness, NAMI, in support. Patty Quincy from Texas American Federation of Teachers in support. And Molly Weiner, United Way of Texas, in support. And Pamela McPeters, Texas Classroom Teachers Association, in support. Anyone else want to register a position or testify on SB 9? We'll close public testimony. Now, Senator Hinojosa moves that Senate Bill 9 be referred favorably to the full Senate with a recommendation it do pass and be printed. Clerk, call the roll.
Creighton. Aye. Hughes. Johnson. Aye. Hinojosa. Aye. Huffman.
Aye.
4 ayes.
4 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 9 will be reported favorably to the full Senate. Thank you very much, Senator West.
Is it appropriate to send it to the local?
No, I think we want everyone on the floor to hear about your daughter. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Oh,